What if I told you the last 10 minutes before you sleep are secretly shaping your entire life? Every night, without realizing it, you are programming your mind, your fears, your stress, your future. And here's the scary part. Most people go to sleep thinking about problems, replaying failures, worrying about tomorrow. So guess what happens? They wake up into the same reality again and again. But tonight, you're about to break that cycle. Because once you understand how your mind works before sleep, you can literally shift your reality from the inside out. Not with hard work, not with force, but with awareness. And once you hear this, you won't go to sleep the same way ever again. Right before you fall asleep, something powerful happens inside your mind, and most people have no idea it's even happening. Your conscious mind, the part that analyzes, doubts, questions, starts to slow down. It becomes quiet, less active, almost like it's stepping aside. And in that exact moment, your subconscious mind begins to take control. This is the part of your mind that doesn't argue, doesn't filter, doesn't judge. It simply accepts, it absorbs, it records. And whatever enters here doesn't just stay as a thought, it becomes a belief. That's why this small window before sleep is one of the most important moments of your entire day. Think about it. All day long, your brain is busy. You're reacting, thinking, solving, dealing with noise, people, pressure. Your mind is guarded. But at night, when you're lying down, eyes closing, body relaxing, that guard drops. And whatever you're thinking in those final moments slips directly into your subconscious without resistance. If you're replaying stress, worrying about money, thinking about what went wrong, your mind doesn't say this is just a thought. It says this must be important. And it stores it, it strengthens it, it prepares to recreate it. Now here's where it gets serious. Your subconscious doesn't just store information, it acts on it. It shapes your emotions, your habits, your reactions, even the opportunities you notice in life. So if every night you're feeding it fear, doubt, and negativity, you are literally training your mind to look for more of that the next day. That's why some people feel stuck. Not because they aren't trying, but because every night they are reinforcing the same internal patterns without realizing it. But the moment you become aware of this, everything changes. Because now, instead of going to sleep randomly, you go to sleep intentionally. Instead of letting your mind drift into problems, you guide it toward possibilities. Instead of ending your day with stress, you close it with clarity. Imagine this. You're lying in bed, and instead of replaying everything that went wrong, you start focusing on something you want. A better version of yourself, a peaceful moment, a goal achieved. And not just thinking it, but calmly holding that image as you drift off. Your subconscious picks it up. It begins working on it silently. No force, no struggle, just quiet programming. And here's the powerful part. You don't need hours, you don't need complicated techniques. Just a few minutes of focused, intentional thought before sleep can begin to shift how your mind operates. It's simple, but not easy, because your old habits will try to pull you back. Your mind will want to replay problems. That's what it's used to. But the more you interrupt that pattern, the more control you gain. So tonight, don't underestimate those last few minutes. They are not empty. They are not random. They are the doorway to your subconscious. And whatever you send through that doorway has the power to shape your reality. The only question is, will you use it consciously or let it control you unconsciously? Here's something most people never truly realize. Your mind is always watching what you think and then quietly building your reality around it. Not someday, not in the distant future, but starting immediately, in subtle, almost invisible ways. Every thought you repeat, especially the ones filled with emotion, begins to leave a mark. And over time, those marks become patterns. And those patterns become your life. The reason this happens is simple, but powerful. Your brain is not designed to question everything you think, it's designed to confirm it. So when you keep thinking, nothing is working for me, or I'm always stuck, your mind doesn't stop and argue. It starts looking for proof. It filters your entire day through that belief. You miss opportunities, you ignore positive signs, you focus only on what matches your thoughts. And slowly, without realizing it, your external world begins to reflect your internal dialogue. Now flip that. If you consistently think things are improving, I'm figuring it out, or opportunities are coming, your brain shifts its focus. Suddenly, you notice things you didn't before. Small wins, new ideas, better reactions. It's not that the world magically changed overnight, it's that your perception changed, and perception is what shapes your experience. But here's where it becomes even more powerful. Emotion speeds everything up. A thought with no feeling is weak. It passes quickly. But a thought charged with emotion, fear, excitement, anxiety, confidence sticks. It sinks deeper. And before sleep, when your mind is most open, these emotional thoughts go straight into your subconscious like commands. That's why worrying at night feels so intense, and why it carries into the next day so easily. Your mind didn't just think the worry, it accepted it. And once your subconscious accepts something, it begins acting on it automatically. It influences how you speak, how you respond, what decisions you make, and even what risks you avoid. It becomes your silent script. So if your nightly thoughts are negative, your actions start aligning with that negativity, and then your results confirm it, creating a loop that feels impossible to break. But here's the truth most people miss. The same system that traps you can also free you. Because if negative thoughts can shape your reality, so can positive, intentional ones. And not the fake, forced kind, real, believable thoughts. Thoughts that feel slightly better than what you're used to. Thoughts that you can actually connect with. Instead of saying, my life is perfect, when it clearly isn't, you shift to, things are getting better. Instead of, I have everything, you move to, I'm moving toward what I want. These thoughts feel real, and because they feel real, your mind accepts them faster. Then something interesting happens. Your behavior starts to change naturally. You become a little more confident, a little more open, a little more willing to act, and those small changes begin to create different results, not instantly, but steadily. And over time, those results reshape your entire reality. So when you lie down at night, understand this. You're not just ending your day. You're setting the direction for your next one. Every thought you carry into sleep is like planting a seed. Some grow into stress, doubt, and limitation. Others grow into clarity, confidence, and opportunity. The process is always working. The only difference is what you choose to feed it. So tonight, ask yourself one simple question. Are your thoughts creating the life you want, or repeating the life you're trying to escape? Most people wake up every day thinking something is wrong with their life, their situation, their luck. They believe the problem is outside money, opportunities, people, timing, so they spend their entire day trying to fix things externally. They push harder, they think more, they try to control outcomes, but no matter how much they do, things feel the same. And that's where frustration begins. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The real problem often isn't your life. It's how you end your day. Because while you're trying to change your reality during the day, every night, you are quietly resetting your mind back to the same patterns. You're reinforcing the same thoughts, the same emotions, the same identity. And then you wake up expecting something different. It doesn't work like that. Your night routine is not just a habit. It's a programming ritual. Think about what most people do before sleep. They scroll endlessly. They consume random content. They compare their lives. They overthink conversations. They replay problems. They stress about tomorrow. And then, in that heavy mental state, they close their eyes and fall asleep. Now ask yourself, what kind of energy are they carrying into sleep? Not calm, not clarity, not intention. It's noise, it's anxiety, it's emotional overload. And because the subconscious mind is most open at this time, It absorbs all of that without question. It doesn't filter what's useful and what's harmful. It simply takes whatever you give it and stores it as truth. So when you wake up the next day, you're not starting fresh. You're continuing the same mental pattern. That's why even when life gives you a chance to feel better, your mind pulls you back. You feel the same pressure, the same doubt, the same heaviness. Not because your life hasn't changed, but because your internal state hasn't been updated. And that's the part most people completely ignore. They want a new life, but they're running the same mental routine every single night. But here's where everything can shift. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. You just need to change how you close your day. Because the last 10-15 minutes before sleep act like a reset point. A moment where you can either reinforce the old or introduce something new. And the smallest shift here can create a completely different internal experience over time. Imagine this instead. Instead of scrolling until your eyes burn, you pause. Instead of replaying problems, you slow your mind down. Instead of ending the day with stress, you choose a thought that brings even a little bit of peace. You don't need perfection. You just need intention. Even something simple like thinking about one thing that went right today, or visualizing a calm moment, or reminding yourself that things are improving can start to change the tone of your mind. And once that tone changes, your sleep changes. And when your sleep changes, your mornings feel different. You wake up a little lighter, a little clearer, a little more in control, and that small shift begins to affect how you move through your day. Your reactions soften, your focus improves, you stop carrying unnecessary weight. That's how real change starts. Not from big actions, but from quiet, repeated patterns. So before you blame your life, your circumstances, or your situation, look at how you're ending your day. Because your night routine isn't just a habit. It's the script your mind follows tomorrow. And if you change that script, even slightly, you don't just improve your nights, you slowly transform your entire reality. Here's something most people don't realize. Your identity is not something you're born with. It's something you build quietly through repetition. Not in big moments, not in life-changing events, but in the small thoughts you repeat every single day, especially the ones you carry into sleep. Think about it. If every night you go to bed thinking, I'm tired, I'm stuck, nothing is changing, those thoughts don't just disappear in the morning. They stack, they repeat, they strengthen. And over time, your mind stops seeing them as thoughts and starts accepting them as facts. That's how identity is formed, not by what happens to you, but by what you keep telling yourself about what's happening. And once something becomes part of your identity, it becomes automatic. You don't question it. You don't challenge it. You live from it. That's why someone who believes I'm not confident will naturally avoid situations that require confidence. Not because they can't do it, but because their identity says, this is not who I am. And the brain's number one job is to stay consistent with identity, even if that identity is limiting. Now here's where it gets powerful. Repetition doesn't just reinforce identity, it rewires it. Every time you repeat a thought, your brain strengthens that neural pathway. It becomes easier to think it again, more natural, more automatic. It's like walking the same path in a field every day. Eventually, it becomes the only visible route. And anything outside that path feels uncomfortable, unfamiliar, even wrong. That's why change feels hard. Not because you're incapable, but because you're trying to think differently without enough repetition to support it. But the same process that built your current identity can build a new one. And it starts with awareness. If you become conscious of the thoughts you repeat every night, you begin to see the pattern. You notice the phrases you keep telling yourself, the labels you've accepted, the story you've been living in. And once you see it, you have a choice. You can keep repeating it, or you can start shifting it. Now, this doesn't mean forcing yourself to believe something unrealistic. That doesn't work. Your mind will reject it. Instead, you begin with small, believable shifts. Instead of I'm stuck, you move to I'm figuring things out. Instead of nothing works, you say, something is changing. Even if I don't see it yet. These thoughts don't feel fake, they feel possible. And that's enough to start the process. Then comes the key. Consistency. One night won't change your identity, but repeating a new thought every night slowly does. It weakens the old pattern. It builds a new one. And over time, something subtle begins to happen. You stop forcing the new thought and start naturally thinking it. That's when identity begins to shift. You start seeing yourself differently, acting differently, responding differently. You take small actions you would have avoided before. You handle situations with a little more confidence. And those small actions create new results, which then reinforce your new identity. It becomes a cycle, but this time, it works in your favor. So understand this clearly. You are not stuck because of your situation. You are stuck because of the identity you've been repeating. And the moment you change what you repeat, especially before sleep, you begin to change who you are. Not overnight, but inevitably, because repetition is not just a habit. It's the force that decides who you become. Here's where most people get it wrong. They think changing their life is about thinking better thoughts. So they repeat positive lines in their head. I'm successful, I'm confident, everything is working out, but deep down nothing shifts. Why? Because the words are there, but the feeling is missing. And without feeling, a thought has no real power. It's just noise passing through your mind. Your subconscious doesn't respond to logic. It responds to emotion. That means it's not what you say that matters most, it's what you feel while saying it. If you repeat a positive thought but feel doubt, stress, or resistance underneath, your subconscious picks up the feeling, not the words. And it continues reinforcing the same old patterns. This is why so many people say, I tried thinking positive, it didn't work. But the truth is they didn't embody the thought. They didn't connect to it emotionally. They said the words, but felt the opposite. Now here's the shift. Instead of forcing thoughts, you start focusing on feeling. Because feeling is what makes a thought believable. And belief is what creates change. Think about a moment in your life when you felt truly calm, or confident, or relieved. Notice how real it felt. Your body responded. Your breathing changed. Your posture shifted. That's because emotion is not just in your head, it's in your entire system. And when you recreate that feeling before sleep, even for a few moments, your subconscious accepts it as reality. That's the key. You don't need to convince your mind with words. You need to show it through feeling. So instead of lying in bed repeating empty phrases, you pause. You slow down. You let your body relax. And then you gently bring your attention to a feeling you want to experience. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's relief from something that's been bothering you. You don't need a perfect scenario. You just need a genuine emotional shift, even a small one. And at first, it might feel unfamiliar. Your mind might drift. Old thoughts might try to come back. That's normal. But instead of fighting them, you return to the feeling calmly, repeatedly. You let it grow, even slightly, because the goal is not intensity. The goal is consistency. The more you allow yourself to feel a new emotional state before sleep, the more your subconscious begins to recognize it as normal. And once something feels normal, your mind starts aligning your thoughts, actions, and reactions with it. That's when real change begins. You wake up feeling a little different. You respond to situations with less stress. You don't overreact the same way. You carry a quiet sense of control. And that emotional baseline starts shaping your decisions, your energy, and your interactions. All from a feeling you practiced at night. This is why two people can have the same goal, but get completely different results. One is thinking about it. The other is feeling it. One is forcing. The other is aligning. And alignment always wins in the long run. So tonight, don't just tell yourself what you want. Feel what it would be like to have it. Even if it's subtle, even if it's brief. Because that feeling is not just imagination. It's instruction. And your subconscious is always listening. Let's be honest for a moment. One night is not going to magically transform your entire life. You're not going to listen to this, go to sleep, and wake up tomorrow with everything perfectly aligned. That expectation is exactly what causes people to quit too early. They try something once, don't see instant results, and assume it doesn't work. But real change doesn't happen like an explosion, it happens like a quiet shift. And that shift starts small. So small, you might not even notice it at first. Maybe you wake up tomorrow and nothing looks different on the outside. Same room, same routine,